right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Blindside Blitz. I am Jimmy McPhee, and of course, right there alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Blitz Nation? Welcome back for another edition of Blindside Blitz. And we are brought to you by the great people over at grumblingsmedia.com. Head over there to check out all the latest and greatest articles and podcasts like ours, whether it be sports, entertainment, political, if you're into that kind of thing. It's all over there. Make sure you give it a look-see. And then you can also further support this channel, which we are growing like crazy on YouTube. Head over to Grumblings Media, hit that subscribe button for us, hit the thumbs up while you're there, just a click away. It's absolutely free, and share it to all your family and friends as well. But we are soaring. We are eclipsing 5,000 subscribers
Wow,
at the
they're
moment.
moving right
And
along.
we just keep moving up the mountain. But we're not here to talk about all that. We're here to talk about some football for all you guys. And what a big week it is. We're going to be covering the Super Bowl, of course, for you guys, but also we're going to get into some trade discussions as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. It's been a little while again, but I'm back. It's funny how playoff time, happens, and then I was just getting sick all of a sudden. The most exciting time to talk about things like that. I'm dying and I can't even talk about it. It's crazy. But yeah, lots to talk about. A lot of news shaking up, especially getting towards the end of the year. We got the big game coming up. Not excited about the teams that are in it. I'm a Giants fan, so to see the Eagles in it again, and then the Chiefs also right there again, making their way into this game again. Along with some other controversy alongside of it. But the big talk right now is a couple of the trades that are going out there, or it's talk of trades. Myles Garrett, you can kind of see it towards the end of season 2 and the way, when they panned to him on the sidelines, that this was coming. And here he is now. Myles Garrett requests a trade, but there's a lot to go into some of this too, because there are some complications too on top of this. If, the Cleveland Browns do end up going through and looking for a trade, that would on before March 16th, it would trigger a 2025 dead money charge of $32 million here. And they're already projected to be more than $27 million over the cap. So they'd have to do some finagling here, Joe. But what do you got on this one?
Yeah, and that's the big deal here, is they are going to be looking for a trade partner to get rid of Myles Garrett, even though Andrew Berry himself, the GM of the Cleveland Browns, has stated, I am not trading Myles Garrett at all. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. Well, here comes Garrett with a official trade request, publicly putting it out there, getting everybody, all these other teams that would be interested, all kind of excited of the possibility of adding a talent like him. He's 29 years old currently. Like Jim mentioned earlier, they're going to be close to 30 million. They're pushing 30 million over the cap as we approach the offseason. So that they could really use any kind of cap savings that there is. So look for Myles Garrett to kind of make his claim, and hopefully he will get traded to another team. I went through and I looked at some of these past trades for pass rushers slash defensive ends, and I tried to make it come slightly close to Myles Garrett and what we could maybe expect for a trade compensation. You look at Von Miller, who was seen, yes, towards the end of his career, but got traded from the Broncos to the Rams for a second and a third round pick in 22. Was that 30 years of age, but in that season had 9 sacks. You look at Jason Pierre-Paul in 2018, got traded for a third round pick to the Buccaneers and was 29 years old, the same age as Garrett, and had 13 sacks that year. Hassan Reddick, another guy who got traded. He's only 30 years old, but to the Jets and only had a sack, didn't really do that much. And then you look about the Giants, who they added Brian Burns in a huge deal that nobody thought was going to happen. But in 24, it recently had a second round pick and 2 fifth-round picks. Brian Burns, only 26 years old, had 9 sacks this previous season. And then obviously the next two that I want to bring up is Montez Sweat and Chase Young, both from the Washington Commanders, both at 25 and 26 years old. One getting a second round pick, one getting a third round pick to be traded. So by looking at all the data there and then kind of surmising what Myles Garrett, what could we expect from him? Because although some of those players are not even close, actually all of them are not even close at this age of what he's been able to produce on the field, it's going to be starting the conversation with a first round pick. It's that simple. Now, depending on what team is going to be picking or where they're picking, is going to decide on how much more compensation after that. If you're picking higher, obviously maybe you can get away with just a first or maybe 2 seconds or a second and a third and some change. So something to keep an eye on for Myles Garrett and Cleveland Browns, if in fact they do trade Myles Garrett, which it seems like it.
Right. I mean, again, once a player knows that, yeah, he says he wants out, so that's when it starts talking, because again, value that is not there for other teams know that he wants out, so there's disgruntled relationships there. He wants to be a winner now with his age, get in there 29. Wants to try and go to a contender because at Cleveland right now, it just ain't it. They tried multiple times the Deshaun Watson deal. It was a bad
Mhm.
deal. And the good thing about this guy too, as opposed to some of the other guys that you brought up in some of those trades, he's consistent throughout the year. He hasn't had a turn
Double
down,
digit sacks.
yeah, double digit sacks consistently, and hasn't had really a down year in his whole career so far. So that's a bright spot here for teams looking for a guy like Myles Garrett. Right now, if you look for next year's cap space, the Patriots, Raiders are up there in cap space. And Commanders and any of those teams here too could use a guy like Myles Garrett, and it would be an impact for them
Yeah,
right away.
there's
So that could be interesting.
there's actually half the league that is in need of a pass rusher or another pass rusher.
Hmm.
A- And it's going to be fun to watch to see what the bidding war might end up being, to see what teams will be interested. I mean, you brought up Washington. That to me would be an amazing
Hmm.
ad for the Commanders
Yeah,
because
that's kind
of
of the
what
thing that
they've
they're missing
already
right there.
overcome and have
Hmm.
achieved at
Hmm.
this point with the rookie quarterback going into a second year. So I think the possibilities are endless in the NFL. There's going to be no short list of teams interested in his services. It's just going to come down to how much compensation a team is comfortable in paying,
Yes.
and what they can do if they have to take on the whole contract, because that's the other part of it. So,
Hmm.
it'll be interesting to watch and to see how it is because we've all heard Myles Garrett wants to win. He's looking to try to be competitive and win a championship and all that, just like any great player would. So, all in all, it's going to be interesting this offseason.
All right, next up, they also right after that news popped out, we've
That's
heard
right.
that the Rams now are looking to trade Cooper Kupp. He openly says that, hey, this is what's going on, and this has been a storyline for throughout this whole season. There were rumors around the trade deadline that Cooper Kupp would possibly be moved, and then
Right.
lo and behold, he's
Yeah.
still on the team. They make a playoff run, but with his injuries that he's had throughout his career, and the elevation of Puka Nakua, how he came out in his rookie year and really showed up, and he's consistently performing. They've got their new number one there. So Cooper Kupp, they can get compensation for him right now. And if you look at his numbers too, he only had, I think, one season that was over like 1,000 yards, I think, too, which is kind of surprising for a guy like Cooper Kupp because you see the tools that he has, what I mean? The
Mhm.
agility, the route running, everything. He has everything you need, but the ability to stay on the field a lot of times is what has caused some of that. So he could be a
100%.
good player for another team here to fill in, but that injury bug has been plagued him throughout his career.
And that's it right there. Cooper Cup and all the injuries that mounted up to this point. He's 31 years old. He's at the towards the end of his career with all those injuries mounting up. You don't get any better after 30 in the NFL. So the Rams are taking a preemptive strike on this, and they are going to be looking to move on from him. His cap number in 25 is going to be 29.7 million. His cap number after that in 26 will be 27.3. So they're looking to get rid of most of this money, although they are going to be hit pretty hard in the dead cap department. Maybe they can make this trade seamless and a little bit easier on other teams if they're able to kind of absorb 7.5 million that's owed to them in guaranteed salary, making it a little bit more attractive to go after Cooper Cup. But, I mean, honestly, the Rams have made this decision. They're gonna be moving forward, and they're looking to kind of retool that wide receiving core going forward. Cup is not
Hmm.
happy about it. He made that public on
Yep.
X, saying that
Yep.
he just totally disagrees with the decision, but unfortunately,
Yeah, it's
he's
it's
at the
not his
mercy of the
decision.
Rams
Yes.
right now.
Right.
Um,
Right. Every
the other
player's like
part
that.
The other thing
Mhm.
too is to look for some of these teams to be going after Cooper Cup, teams that like the Bengals because T. Higgins is gonna be on his way out. The Steelers always could use another wide receiver. Commanders, another up and coming young team. The Chiefs, obviously, they've been going through like a musical chairs at wide receiver, trying to find the right one to fill in. The Patriots, who are in dire need of
Mhm.
help in that position, and my another curious one to watch for is the Detroit Lions.
Mhm. Yeah, that would be interesting to check out. And I checked. He did have 2 seasons over 1,000 yards. One was almost over 1,000 yards. One was almost 2,000 yards, 1,900 yards. But still, again, with the other seasons, the other years that he had, again, it was not the ability to stay on the field, which is kind of been his Achilles heel to his whole career.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's going to be one of those teams that's want to go to a contender, and one of those contenders will likely pick him up. And I could see somebody even like the Chiefs doing like that. That's the one thing about the Chiefs that they have done so well throughout, the last couple of years, and why I think they still stay so good as they are. They're not a team that really needs a whole lot of needs, especially in the certain key positions, quarterback,
Mhm.
on defense and where they are. They have the ability to pick up a free agent that'll fit in the system and kind of make it work. Former players that used to have on the roster, Juju Smith-Schuster now, uh, things like that. So them to get like a Cooper Cup, it would work for them too, especially if he is injured a little bit too. That's fine. They have Worthy, they have a few different guys, so that would fit the bill there. But to see him in one of those other teams like the Lions, I mean, that would be exciting to see too. And imagine the depth on that team. I mean, that would be cool. And again, looking at cap space, things that they, who knows? Maybe it's like the maybe the Washington Commanders again. They've got a lot of money to spend too. If they decide that they can run it back here, they get a pass rusher and some other key pieces. Add Cooper Cup to that wide receiving core. I mean, that could be dangerous too as well.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like we think about compensation. We already talked about Garrett, but for Cooper Cup, it's not going to cost a lot. A wide receiver at 31 years old who has a injury history beyond that, look for it to only be like kind of like a mid to late round pick, a fourth or a fifth round pick to kind of
Right.
get the deal done. And teams like the Chiefs could see this as a bargain purchase, and maybe it pays off in the end.
hmm All right, we've got William Del Pilar is in the house with us tonight. Cup has a ring, has a fat contract, and can afford living in California. He's living large. I wonder if he has the fight left in him to play at the level he's used to. I think so. Again, that's why I think he's upset that he doesn't want to leave. Like he's comfy where he is too. He's been with the Rams his whole career.
Mhm.
Him and Stafford definitely have a good relationship. And I think still, as long as McVay and those guys are there, they still can contend. You saw it this season. Again, even when they had some down weeks, they still were competitive and they made that strong push at the end. Just ran into a tough team that knew how to play better in the elements than they did and couldn't outlast, but potentially even the best team in the league, at this point
Yeah,
too. So it's tough to
right.
see. We'll
Right.
find that out in the Super Bowl as
Thanks,
well.
William, for the
Um,
question.
yep,
But yeah, as
absolutely.
far as competitiveness goes, like I think Cooper Cup still has that drive for the
hmm
NFL, but he's limited because of those injuries. I
hmm
feel like the injuries have kind of crept up on him, and that's what's kind of limiting his explosiveness that he used to have.
Absolutely, Joe. Last week, again, I didn't get to talk about it here, but the Bills, fall to the Kansas City Chiefs again.
That's
And
right.
watching
That's right.
the game, there were a couple controversial calls and non calls and things like that.
Mhm.
One of the things I got to see again is the multiple, which they're stand out the one taunting, that could have been called on Travis Kelsey
Should have
here,
been
but
called.
he did it twice. And,
Oh yeah,
again, personal foul, that, taunting, that's unsportsmanlike conduct. That's even, means to maybe possibly get ejected from the game too, as well.
two
You
personal
know,
fouls. That's all it
mhm,
takes.
exactly. And they didn't call him at all, either one. And
Mhm.
this is partially part of the reason why I think a lot of fans out there dislike the Chiefs. Yes, we've heard a bunch of different things, excuses. Yes, they win, blah, blah, blah. And, people are kind of just tired of it. They want to see somebody fresh in there. But and as long as with the refs kind of thing is too, these guys with punk attitudes that they have here too, doesn't help the fact the way they act. Or, yes, I get it. You're on top of the league, I guess, right now, one of the better teams. You are the remaining champions until somebody knocks you off again. But things like this and the fact that they didn't get called for it in the game, but then NFL finds it necessary enough to find them $11,255 after the point, I think is ridiculous. And the NFL does this a lot, where they've done it in games where there's just penalties that should have been called. And then they'll, Roger Goodell will make a statement like, yeah, I want to apologize. The referees missed that call, blah, blah. My apologies to this team.
We're sorry.
Oh, that's great. But the game had already played, and there's repercussions, when that happens. That play, especially when Jordan Phillips came over and headbutted him after the fact, if you had two game misconduct calls there, then they eliminate each other out. Then they're going for a field goal or the extra point with Harrison Butker. Instead, now you've got that call, brings them up right to the goal line. They go for two and convert, and that sets the game into a different view.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing too is, and you just brought up Jordan Phillips, who also got fined a $6,722 for unnecessary roughness because he used his helmet, like you mentioned. So he didn't go unscathed either. Travis Kelce, I don't think it was a high enough fine for him. I mean, 11 grand for taunting and getting in, doing unnecessary things. You know what I mean? Like, and not to mention, he was 2 feet or less right in front of the referee when he did it. Yeah. He was jawing off and taunting the other player as soon as the play got over. And it's like anybody else, and I mean anybody else in the NFL, whether you're on the Eagles or the Lions or any one of these other really good teams, the Bills, you're getting flagged right away in that situation. That player's getting a personal foul. That player is going to get one step away from getting kicked out of the game. How can you not make these calls that are so blatant in front of the fans, in front of the national media? And you talk about national media because Troy Aikman himself, who's been calling these games, has lit up the referees, verbally on live, like basically saying, I don't understand this. How can you make that call? How can you not make this call? Like, what are they doing? And Troy Aikman is just reiterating what everybody's thinking or yelling at the top of their lungs at home. So something has to change. And we all know this, but will it? We're going into the Super Bowl now where it might not. It might continue trending that way. And if it does, it's going to be hard for a lot of people to grasp.
All right, Joe, here's that footage right there. Let's just
take a look at it. To the ground. And Kelce came over and said, "What's up with that?"
Yeah, see that?
Yep.
2 touchdowns by the Chiefs.
Kelce knows how to get under your skis. He's like, yep.
And then he gets the headbutt right after
Phillips
that.
Comes in.
And the flop.
Yeah, look at the fake.
Yeah.
Look at the fake.
And Tony Romo calls it. And this is what's funny about these guys, and why they're so upset too, is because their colleagues are calling them out. The guys that are former players that are now in media are legit saying this stuff on air. Tony Romo said, hey, there is Kelce doing this thing, flopping. Joe Buck, and Troy Aikman. Tom Brady is a big advocate now for some of this stuff to change, which is kind of funny now too. But yeah, I think maybe even the fine was combined with the one that he did early that nobody's showing either too, that he was taunting earlier in the game. But then that one was the one that created, the impact with Phillips, and he got more of a fine than Phillips, which Phillips actually made, contact with him, which I think is kind of funny. And I think it's funny too. It's like the $11,255. Like, well, it made it $55.
Yeah.
I think
it's kind of funny
where
these numbers.
Come with these numbers. Yeah, it's like, let's make it a little less. It's like $255. But yeah, and this is the thing. This is the thing why people don't like them. I think on top of it, he's getting the attitudes, the interviews that they do, and the media is kind of feeding into it as well. And what I hate too is the media also will fuel them. The media is fueling them by saying, "Hey, you guys are hated. You're villains. What do you think about that? Blah, blah, blah. And now, like, we're embracing it now, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, of
Well,
course.
of course you're embracing it because we're calling you a villain because you're acting like one. You're acting like a douchebag already on top of it. So people don't tend to like douchebags. You know what I mean? So so you're like, all right, I'm going to increase my douchebaggery. This is going to be amazing, you know? And this
Right.
is why a lot of people can't stand them.
Right.
So that'll lead us to even the next topic we're going to bring up is Patrick Mahomes flopping. And it may lead to some rule changes now because the NFL had talked about it. Tom Brady has advocated, like I said, to this. He had been on an interview, I think, with Colin Cowherd and went right after him, right after Mahomes and the way it's been and defending defenders. Because again, he says some of the moves that you're doing and scrambling around, and so the late strolling or stopping before you get out of bounds and things like that, where a defender, his job, his sole job is to knock the ball out of your hands, to try to create turnovers. What's the biggest decision maker in a game? Turnovers. So the defense is trying to create a turnover. So impact plays. And when you are doing some of these other things, these plays where you're getting into that motion to where a defensive player is trying to create an impact to create a turnover, and the decisions you're doing or even deciding to flop or, you know, motions you're making impacts that, and he's flagged for it, what is he to do?
Yeah.
He is handcuffed then.
Yeah.
And he
that's
can't
how
stop.
it's been.
Right. And the quarterback, he's got all control of his body, whatever he can do. He can stop, he can slow down, he can do this. The defender has to react to whatever he can. And if he decides to go for that impact play, he's already in the motion. You've talked about it before. If you're already into that, you know, impact type of tackle, you can't just stop. You can't go 50% either, because again, is that going to create a turnover? You know, you're not going to get that job done.
Yeah, you're already committed to make that tackle, you know, and it's interesting because we brought up Troy Aikman just a second ago, but here's what his quote was. He goes, "You can't, as a quarterback, run around and play games with the defenders and then be able to draw a penalty." End quote. Like, these are the things, like, you're playing games. Mahomes knows what he's doing. Let's not make it sound like, you know, oh, he's not really sure. No, he's playing within the rules, but he's manipulating the referees into calling certain penalties that they probably shouldn't. Because if you're giving up the play, we've seen him run towards the sideline against the Texans, and he got kind of just stopped before he went out of bounds, and he got hit in the back, and he was looking for a call, but no call was made. Like, there's situations like that. There's situations like the late slide that he had where the two Texans collided with each other. And got a roughing the passer call, like, because he slid late, but he didn't even get contacted.
No, they hit each other. Like,
so
they almost injured each other.
To be honest with you, it just doesn't make sense. We've seen this over and over with this team, and that's what leads to a lot more hatred being built up towards them, is because they are getting that favoritism card. I know they don't like to hear about it. I know we've had the head of officials, the Officiating Association, come out with a comment saying this is absolutely ridiculous, and just, how can you even say that when we do our best? We have over 100 referees doing all these games. And then we're not in conjunction to favorite one team. Well, sorry, but you can clearly see everybody's watching the game, just like us at home. We're watching the game. We see these things happen, and whether they get called a penalty or not called a penalty, but the evidence is right there. Like, we've already seen it live, and sometimes you see replays, and it's like, at what point is this going to stop? Because it's not a fair game. It's just not. Because and I'm not saying every call is made in the Chiefs' favor. No,
No, it's not.
Specific moments and specific, you know, a specific play, whether it be a big play that got called back or whatnot. Those are the ones that are being changed or called or not called in favor of the Chiefs, which gives them more opportunities to win the game.
Right. High impact too. The yardage per penalty. some of the pass interference calls. Oh, roughing the passer again in that same Texans game. Patrick Mahomes got knocked to the ground, flag instantly in front of him. He's looking up at the ref right in front of him, like, and then he's like, oh, it's like, and all he did is get shoved. Like nothing.
Right.
Guy didn't take him down. Body weight, didn't get hit in the face. Nothing. And there it is. And again, that's automatically 15 yards, moves it right back up. And that's a lot, especially with the way the game is played right now. Trying to fast pace, trying to get chunk yardage quick, move down the field to score. And especially that works into the Chiefs, wheelhouse, because what they got too with Harrison Butker too, the ability to kick as far as he does and how accurate. I mean, that only helps too with Patrick Mahomes and his arm. It is key. We got some more comments here.
You even real quick before you read the comment, real quick,
Mm-hmm.
going to that Texans game, the Chiefs not only got it was a third down play. They got 3 attempts to go for third downs, and then when they got the first down, then there was no more penalties. It was awfully funny how that worked. It went against the Texans, went against the Texans, went against, and then they get the first down, and now it's like, oh, it's okay. I've never seen that before in a football game where you got 3 chances to get a first down. So there's a lot of evidence out there for sure.
Right. All right, here we go. William says, call it unethical, but I call it cheating, and he does it for the call and gets it. I believe the refs are purposely giving them calls. Why? Well, there's always unwritten rules in all leagues. They want the premier team and players to make it to the big show. And when it's not just the fans, but analysts and players, the fix may not be in, but it's as close to a fix as you can get.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I mean, to an extent. I mean, I don't know if exactly if it's that far. Like NFL's like, oh, this is who we want, because I think even having, say, the Detroit Lions in the Super Bowl against the Bengals, I think that would still draw a lot of people because it's fresh too, to an extent. But
it would have drew a lot of Detroit Lions fans and everything.
No, I get that, but I think some people would like to see that difference. But the way the Chiefs are, especially with winning, you bring a lot of new fans. And the old ones too as well, especially with the Taylor Swift and how polarizing that is too. You're bringing ththose fans.
That's what it
is. That's the thing, and you're getting viewership. I mean, they're expecting money. Last year, I think 123 million people watched the Super Bowl, and they're expecting 203 million this year. So that's even a jump again after even seeing two teams who played each other just a couple of years ago play again.
Yeah, and the real reason for that? The real reason for that is because people are going to tune in, like myself, and I'm going to be hoping the Eagles win and not the Chiefs, because because of how they got there this season. This season in particular is really the big, the stirring the pot thing all season for the NFL.
Right.
It's not the previous championships that they won. You couldn't argue that. They just outplayed the opponents that they played in the playoffs. So this year is really the reason, or the problem that everybody has with what is happening in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs getting there and how they got there. So that's the concerning part.
Right. And I'm afraid some of it again too is again refs seeing these guys. These guys are the new stars. They're getting to know them. It's popularity. To kind of draw like a parallel, but not too crazy. So don't hit me on this one. But it reminds me a lot the way the O.J. Simpson trial went. You know what I mean? O.J. got off. There was a lot of clear evidence, that showed that pretty much he did it. But the jury found him not guilty, things like that. And I think that was because they know O.J. O.J. is a star. He's a former Buffalo Bills running back. I know him. Oh my goodness, starstruck a little bit. So he got the call, in the trial. And I think that's what happens. I think with some of these refs too, with some of these players, Patrick Mahomes, they get the calls because they're the guy. And I think that happens in some of these games.
There's a lot of great players, a lot of superstars.
No, I hear you. I get that too as well.
Like I don't think that's necessary. Like it's part of it, but it's not to that degree. Like, oh, the Chiefs are the only ones that they got Patrick Mahomes and they got Travis Kelce, and we're gonna bow down to them. No, I don't. I think it's more of the storyline behind the scenes that the NFL has been helping the Chiefs because they know like you mentioned before, They have Taylor Swift. They got all those fans, and it's all about the green. It's all about money making. So what is bigger than that? The Super Bowl. And if we can get all the Swifties and all the Chiefs fans and everybody back into the fold, they know they're going to make oodles and oodles of money along with the Eagles fans. So
Mhm.
I think that there was a narrative to it, and they were helped to get to this point, because if you just take a second and watch those games and watch how not the defense, but watch how the offense for the Chiefs played and performed. Very lackluster, not Chiefs like. Patrick Mahomes had his worst year yet, and still they were able to figure out how to put just enough points on the board to win the games.
Why are you guys leaning into this whole ref thing? You know what I mean? Like, why are you guys leaning into it?
Because it's a thing, Travis. So yeah, here we go. So that brings up the question. We were kind of talking into this and kind of led into this perfectly. So will fans actually boycott the Super Bowl? I know a lot of people are upset about it. I for one was almost like, I'm not going to watch it, but again, with you know what we do here now,
Yeah, we
running
kind of
team
have
football
to
shows,
watch
stuff
it.
like that. This is like our job, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
this is our
we
job, so
kinda
we have
have
to, even though again, it painfully hurts me. So this year I actually did get in on Football Square, so I'm excited about that. So it gave me something to root for, at least. Sort of like how I do to myself during the regular season, to where when we do our football picks weekly, I pick against the Giants because I expect them to lose. But if they win, there's a happy spot. The Giants actually happen to win a game. So this is what I did here too. So I'm excited for that.
Nice.
But you can't though. Again, and it's what you said, Joe. Yes, a lot of people are tired of seeing the Chiefs there too. It's rough when there's the same team kind of going back here and there. Some people get tired of it. But then also the people you're bringing in, the Taylor Swift fans, that will just watch. I mean, people are watching. They're saying like over a half of the country is going to be watching this game, and that's big. So to have a storyline there too. The NFL feeds into these storylines. What better one than to be, this is the team that you're kind of getting sick of now. They have a lot of attitude because they're douchey. And you've got Taylor Swift on board on top of it as well. And Brittany Mahomes a little bit, but she's kind of, tame compared to everybody else now. It's kind of funny, Joe.
Yeah.
And now they have the potential to be the first team to ever three-peat out of these dynasties that happen, and Andy Reid, being one of the greatest coaches of all time, and this Chiefs team being a dynasty now. That's a big storyline. So people are going to watch it. For one, Chiefs fans would see them do it, or like you said, on the opposite side,
Everybody
for the
else.
Eagles, the Eagles are going to be the now the bad guy turned good guy somehow to this one, and to be the hero, anti-hero in a sense that comes through, and now has to be, the victorious one. It's like the Eagles are like the Venom of the Marvel universe. He's a bad guy a lot of times, but all of a sudden he's called upon to be the good guy, to do the right thing for the humanity here. And so this is what everybody's looking to see now, potentially, is now the Eagles stop them from getting this three-peat. And that's what I think is the drama here that people will tune in for.
Yeah, and mind you, the Chiefs are going for their 4th Super Bowl in 6 years. No other team has ever done that before. It's truly amazing what they've accomplished. But man, this is one of those things where, like, I could see a lot of fans just not watch the Super Bowl because they don't care. They don't care about either team. They don't care. They're sick of, like you said, the Chiefs playing in the Super Bowl. It's time to move on. We're not even going to bother watching it. You're going to have some people. Now, you mentioned the expectation, the millions of people they're expecting to watch this game. And obviously, it's the biggest game of the year. A lot of people do tune into it, regardless of what camp you're part of, whether your team's in it or out of it. It's like one of the biggest celebrations of the year that everybody comes together and watches. So it's going to be interesting after the fact to see what those numbers really are. Were they what they expected, or were they way lower than what they expected? That'll determine if this question is a yes or no.
Right. I don't see it. William Del Pilar is out there. He had a comment. He said, boycotting the Super Bowl for the masses is like asking a crack addict to go cold turkey.
Cold turkey.
But it's not going to happen just because even the fact that, Joe, so many people nonchalantly just go to a Super Bowl party because that's the thing to do around now. They go to the party without even having a pony in the race. They do this, they get together. True. And this is like another just, a holiday thing, that, like people do, I mean, St. Patrick's Day get together and stuff like that. Whether they do it or not, people don't even know who the teams are. People don't even watch football and they go to the Super Bowl get-togethers. They watch the game and not knowing a damn thing. Those are the annoying people that we don't like, Joe. Some of these too. You go as a dedicated fan or somebody that covers it, and knowing some of what you're doing, and then you got these other guys, blah blah, this and that, and even commenting on it. Then you look over and you're like,
"What are you doing, bro?
God, dude, who invited this guy? Just
shut up. Whose man's is this?
Eat your wings over in the kitchen. Get the hell away from the TV. Like, what are you doing? And that's what I can't stand sometimes about this game, where we are with it. But
here's the thing,
though. That's the truth.
Is as Super Bowl parties they're very popular, but the more Super Bowl parties there are, the less people viewing. There's more people in the room. You got one TV you're watching.
No, I get it there. I get that.
So that's the other caveat of that. So it'll be interesting. We'll wait and see what the numbers dictate, what they tell us. But I do expect a large amount of people watching the Super Bowl just because it's the Super Bowl.
All right, Joe, here we go. It's about that time. Super Bowl 59, Super Bowl breakdown time and predictions. Joe, here we go. This is it. Not the one I wanted to see, not the one you probably wanted to see.
Absolutely not.
That road has finally made it here. The Chiefs are here, a chance at history to make the three-peat. The Eagles stand in the way. But the way I look at this game, though, and also when teams kind of enter this game, where are they at? What's good about the Eagles is Jalen Hurts, this team, for most of them, they've already been here before. They've got a couple of younger guys that haven't had a chance to be here, but now are here, that are going to learn a little bit from some of the guys that have already been here. They've already experienced this, and they've been competitive in that game. That was a close game, and they just came up short. I wasn't actually rooting for the Eagles in that game, but this is a better Eagles game, a team, than that one 2 years ago. Even without Jason Kelce, I get that. They haven't really lost a step on the push that they pull off. So this is what's really intriguing about these two teams. Right. Offensively, these are really tough types of teams, but they're different. The Eagles are going to come in and hopefully try and run the football, establish the run. Saquon Barkley all day. This is what's bothered me about teams moving forward going into the playoffs and also the Super Bowl. And the Eagles were part of it even last time they were here. Get to the game, and then you change your game plan. The Bills did it last week when they did the divisional or the championship weekend against the Chiefs. You go into this big game, do what you do best. James Cook, nonstop, run it down their throat. It was working, and you decided to not do this. You come out of the gate passing, and that's feeds right into what this Chiefs defense does. Steve Spagnuolo, the special blitzes that he pulls off, this and that. That is what you want to stop here. So you want to be able to control the line of scrimmage, run the football. Saquon Barkley, potentially the MVP of the league, playing his best at ever in his career, almost breaking the rushing title here for this season. That's what you need to go into this game. You need to establish the run and behind him. All the rest should fall into place after that. It alleviates pressure from Jalen Hurts, and the Eagles defense they're the top defense in the league, and defense wins championships here. So I expect the Eagles to run the football, keep Mahomes and those guys off the field, because that's especially what you want to do here. Keep that offense off the field, control the game in the time of possession and the defense.
Yeah, and the thing with the Chiefs too is like Coach Andy Reid, one of the best coaches to ever do it. And right now, currently, you can't argue that he's not the best currently. This will be making his 6th Super Bowl appearance, tying Don Shula for the 2nd all-time appearances in there with a .730 winning percentage. It's truly incredible what this guy's been already been able to accomplish as an Eagles coach and now the Chiefs. Um, Patrick Mahomes is going to be something to watch out for the Eagles. They have to contain him, yes, but at the same time, they got to eliminate a lot of these big explosive plays that end up starting behind the line of scrimmage. 27% of their offense starts from behind the line of scrimmage, believe it or not.
Mhm.
Doesn't sound like a statistic that makes any sense for the Chiefs, but this is a different brand of offensive football for them that they've been doing this year. So a lot of times they're doing little swing passes out in the flat. They're doing wide receiver screens. They're doing little handoffs behind the line of scrimmage, jet sweeps, and all that. So they're very creative in that regard. Now, if the Eagles defense is going to have any chance of limiting or slowing down this offense, they're going to have to play a lot of press. They're going to have to play up in the grills of the Chiefs wide receivers, and get right up close to the line of scrimmage because you got to eliminate those big plays that they are able to execute off of those plays behind the line of scrimmage. So that's one thing. Mahomes going against Vic Fangio, it hasn't been kind to Vic at all. Every time Vic Fangio's defenses have gone against Mahomes, he hasn't won a single game. I think he's 0-7 against Mahomes or the Chiefs offense or 0-8, something like that. So that's something that I think Vic Fangio is looking forward to. Game playing against this Chiefs offense. Can he limit them? Can he slow them down? For the Eagles, I'm curious to watch their offensive line. Their offensive line is one of the best in the NFL, hands down. And behind that, you have Saquon Barkley, like you just mentioned. He's gonna Saquon Barkley, if they are able to run the football against the Chiefs, much like the Bills should have continued doing so, like you mentioned earlier. You have a stud in Barkley. You have a great offensive line in front of them. Utilize the running game as much as possible. Wear the defense down because they're going to come early on. Steve Spagnuolo loves to send pressure, loves to choreograph different looks on the defensive side, and always tends to blitz 1, 2, maybe even more. Um, it's going to be weathering the storm in the beginning for the Eagles against that pressure. Are they gonna
Mhm.
be able to run against it? If they can do that, then they pretty much have a very big advantage against the Chiefs. It's gonna be
Mm.
overcoming that initial threat. For the for Jalen Hurts and the wide receivers, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and others, I'm not expecting Jalen Hurts to be kind of take this game over and just be like the guy's going to throw for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, and I'm not expecting that from him because we don't even know how healthy he is at this point of the season. We've heard that
Mhm.
he's been nicked up and all that. So as long as they can get that running game going, I don't see Hurts as being kind of like that dynamic quarterback for the Eagles because he won't have to be if they can sustain the run.
Mhm.
Just just game manage because that's pretty much what he's done all
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
I think there's only 2 games in the regular season that he threw for over 200 yards.
Mhm.
This team has been
Right.
heavily relied upon Saquon Barkley, and if they can continue to do that, that's gonna lead them possibly to win the championship. And then
Right.
on the flip side of that, you have the Eagles defense, which with Vic Fangio and how well they've performed down the stretch of the regular season, they've gotten much better since the week 1. They're ready to take on the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs offense isn't what it used to be, but it's still a different type of dynamic. It's still difficult to stop, but can this defense, like Jalen Carter, who's been a wrecking ball for that D line, can he blow up the middle of that offensive line, get pressure on Mahomes,
Mhm.
make them
Mhm.
feel uncomfortable, force him to the edges to the edge rushers, and have them make plays on him? We saw a little bit of that from time to time when the Bengals faced them. We saw Trey Hendrickson get after him,
Yep.
and I think you need that push up the middle. So the
Yep.
Eagles got to do their job, contain him, pressure him, force him into making, to overthrow the ball and whatnot. this game, it's really going to come down to all the details across the board. And then you even get to the kicking game. Let's just,
Yep.
you got
Yeah.
two good kickers,
Mhm.
one in Harrison Bucker, who's seen as the best playoff kicker of all time at this point.
Yeah,
Like
at this
he's
point.
just
Mhm.
been, in terms of accuracy, that's the thing, is he's so
Yeah, that's the
deadly
thing. He's
accurate as a
so yep.
kicker,
Mhm.
over 50 yards,
Yeah.
that it's almost
It's
guaranteed to
almost
go in every time he
guaranteed.
steps on
Yeah.
the field.
Yeah, it's money.
So
Mhm.
that is going to be a critical thing. Now, if you're the Eagles, the game plan has to be, well, if we do have to bend a little bit, but we can stop them in the red zone. We can stop them at the 30 or 40-yard marker and
Mhm.
force them to kick a long field goal, short field goal. If we can trade touchdowns for field goals,
Right.
then we'll have the advantage, and we might be able to kind of dictate how this Super Bowl goes. So this game in its entirety is going to be insane. I don't really have much to talk about the defense for the Chiefs because let's face it, they're one of the best defenses in football. They're going to continue to put pressure. You can talk about Chris Jones and George Karlaftis and Nick Bolton and all the really good players that they have on that side of the ball, but we all know what they're going to do. Pressure, pressure, pressure. It's a matter of if the Eagles can protect Hurts, open up rushing lanes for Saquon Barkley, and then when it comes necessary and they send that pressure, get rid of the ball quickly, efficiently to your tight end, your running back, whoever you so choose.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think a big factor here for the defense of the Philadelphia Eagles is the fact that they've got serious depth, and Brandon Graham's coming back too for this game too, which they haven't had in a while. You forget that he's even on the team sometimes, but here he is coming off of that tricep injury, going to be playing too on top of it. So you get one of your vets here back on the defense too as well, excited to
True.
play this game. So that would be nice for them. On top of Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, guys are already playmakers for the team. Cooper DeJean, who's been great, as a rookie.
A
Um,
rookie, yeah.
yeah, and
Same with Quinion Mitchell.
Quinn
Quinion
Mitchell.
Mitchell's
Yep,
another one
that's what I
that
mean.
that's kind of stepped up.
That's what they got so many players. And then Saquon Barkley, like you said, he right now in the playoffs, he's averaging 147.3 yards per game.
Mhm.
And Jalen Hurts got to be that guy he's been all year in the playoffs. He's 69% completion percentage with 3 touchdowns, no INTs. And the factor for the Chiefs on their side is there's ranked second and third down, third down conversions and fourth down conversions. So they go for it just about every time and have success. And also, Patrick Mahomes, game-winning drives in the regular season, 5 game-winning drives, and he's known for that. Did it last week or last championship game here against the Bills. So control the line of scrimmage, control the time of possession is the Eagles' game plan, and keep Mahomes with as little amount of time as you can. That's got to be their game plan moving forward. As far as for the Chiefs, again, they've kind of got it. They're the team on the top of the hill, so they got, they don't have like a hill to climb, I think, in this aspect here. But the one thing I do see, though, is that they're the team with the least amount of talent. They've got their starters, and that's about it. They don't have any real depth. And even, like you even said it, the wide receiver position isn't exactly the best, but they've got guys that fit, that works. The
Mhm.
running game, not very good, even though they got Kareem Hunt here, too. Not really
Who's been
establishing the run very well. And even last week against the Bills didn't really do very,
They've
very
tried
well
to,
here. And it
you
looks like
know?
to me that Isaiah Pacheco is a shell of his former self. Like he's
Here's
barely
the
out there in the field and even doesn't look even like his old self.
But here's the thing with that running game is they've been a big proponent of running the football. They are not the pass happy offense like we are used to seeing. This year especially, they've had a running back by committee approach.
Mhm.
They definitely try to run the ball first. Watching their
Mhm.
opening drive, they're going to try to sustain the run game first. If it doesn't work, then they're going to go to their passing plays. And we've seen that in the past couple of playoff games that they've had where they tried to run the ball against the Bills, and it didn't work. The Bills did an excellent job on defense on limiting their rushing plays and then forced them to become one-dimensional, and that's gonna be one of the key
Mhm.
things for the Eagles too. Can they limit Kareem Hunt, as old as that dude is, he's over 30 years old, and he's running like he's 27 again.
Mhm.
So Isaiah Pacheco, he's still another hard runner, and I think he's still a really good player. But if you can limit these guys to 2 and 3 yards a carry, you've done your job. And
Mhm.
that's what we're going to be looking forward to seeing is can the Eagles make the right adjustments in the right times and execute, whether it be
Mhm.
defense or offense. Jalen Hurts, we all know him as a dual threat quarterback, but he hasn't really been that dual threat as of late because of
Mhm.
the injury, because of him being nicked up. So if
Mhm.
this is the last game, so I don't care if he's got to shoot up a drug killer, drug pills or anything like
Yep.
Mahomes did when he busted his
Yeah.
ankle in the
Yeah.
playoffs and everyone made it a
Mhm.
big deal.
And Super
Hurts
Bowl,
do the
yeah.
same thing. Dope
Mhm.
Jalen Hurts up so he's going to take off and run when needed to. He's going to
Yep.
make the throw when he's needed to. Um, this game is going to be an amazing game to watch. I just there's so many matchups and there's so many variables
Yeah.
to this game that
Mhm.
it is literally going to be a chess match.
Mhm. Yeah, I think so. It's going to be tough. Back and forth. I'm going to be on the edge of my seat again too, even though I didn't want to watch it and stuff like that, but I'm going to. Like I said, for this one, I think it's the Eagles game to win. That being said, Joe, let's get to some predictions here. All right. Let's go with MVP of the game here. Who do you think? Who you think is going to take home MVP of the game?
MVP of the game. Let's see. Um, I think it's going to end up. Well, before I even say
Sure.
anything, I do want to make a little bit of a disclaimer for the Chiefs. Is that there's rumors going around that their boy Rashee Rice might be available to play in the Super Bowl because even though he's had that off the field issues with
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
accident and all that, that's still going on in court, by the way. The
Yeah.
NFL sounds like they're going to, if he's good to go, they're going to allow him to play in the Super Bowl, even though that's still going on,
Mm-hmm.
which is, take it for what you want. Just one of those things. It's like,
Yep.
but that would be a huge positive for the Chiefs if he was available for them. But as
Mm-hmm.
far as like who I think is going to be the MVP of the Super Bowl, if the Eagles win, I'm going to go Saquon Barkley. I think it's going to be easy. I think that the Chiefs defense, they're a good run defense, but they're not the best. And with this offensive line that he has to run behind, he might end up having one of the best Super Bowl, as a running back uh, in recent memory. Like he could literally take over the game by himself, like he's done
Yep.
in the playoff games. So I would say for the Eagles, it'd be Saquon Barkley. I think for the Chiefs, I don't suspect any of the running backs are going to be in. And you know what? As far as MVP goes, it never goes to a defensive player.
Right.
But if there's any defensive player for the Chiefs that will probably deserve it, it's gonna be a guy like Chris Jones, a
Mm-hmm.
guy that just seems to rise to the occasion in big moments. When
Yep.
he's needed the most is when he steps up.
Yep.
And it might be defensive this year. If the Chiefs win, maybe Chris Jones is the X factor, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe they finally give it to a defensive player. I know it's a long shot.
Yeah,
But,
it is a long
the
shot.
guy's done so much in big moments that it's hard to ignore, uh, you know, with all that being said and done. Like, as far as,
Mm-hmm.
like, their offense, obviously, it'll probably go to Mahomes,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's because of the lack of big time playmakers that he has on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
would I would go
yeah.
defensively.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go same way you're out. I'm saying it's gonna be Saquon Barkley again because I think they can run against the Eagles team. That's what they have to do. I think they've been good at it all season. That offensive line, on top of it, I mean, I think it's gonna be his day to shine. Um,
Mhm.
he will be the MVP. I don't think the Chiefs are going to have an opportunity at it. If they do, it's going to be because of Patrick Mahomes. He's been making plays for him all season long. And like you said, they do try to establish the run a little bit here to try and be a little more balanced. But if you look at the games they've won, it is because he's been able to scramble and make plays with his pocket, out of the pocket.
It's because he's had to.
It has he's had to. So, things like that. It's not like, they're pulling out huge drives here and there. He's doing it because he has to. So that's what it would be and come down to in this game too as well. Final score, and who do you got?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with the nation that's gonna be rooting for the Eagles.
Yep.
And that's who I'm gonna be rooting for. That's who I'm hoping wins. Do I think they're gonna win? The hardest part of all of this is we've been through the rigmarole of discussion and variables and the referees and the Chiefs and the
Mm-hmm.
Eagles. The Eagles are gonna have to play a near perfect game to win. They really are, because I still expect there to be some bogus calls made in that game that's gonna hurt the Eagles, and they're gonna have to overcome it. They really are. And we've heard from, uh, the Houston Texans basically saying after their game, saying, "We knew we were had to come into Kansas City, and we had to beat not just the Chiefs, we had to
Yeah.
overcome anything that stood in our way against the calls." So,
Yep.
I think in this Super Bowl, I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I'm gonna go let's see. I'm gonna go man. I'm gonna go 24-21 Eagles.
24-21 Eagles. All right, there you go. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say the same thing with you. I mean, when this Super Bowl got this, is the one I definitely didn't want, and this would have happened. So it's almost like, oh man, like it's like if Biden got reelected. I'm like, oh, I gotta do this another 4 years. Oh, it's not what I wanted, but now I have to live through
Sleepy
this.
Joe.
Oh, it's like the worst thing that could ever happen. But it's here. And so I have to kind of side, not really even like the West of the two evils, but I'm looking at it as talent wise and stuff like that. And across the board, I'm looking at this, and overall, the Eagles are a better team. I mean, hands down, when you look at it, the defense, the offense,
Yeah.
Set
I
aside
agree with
just
that.
except for the head coach, I would say again,
Right.
the Eagles, the
Right.
depth that they have then too. Like I said, if somebody potentially gets injured, for the Chiefs, then they start to have issues. I think, you know what I mean. One of these
100%.
guys goes down. I think the Eagles can live with some of that even in this one, because again, the depth that they have. But so yeah, I expect the Eagles to win on this one. I don't think it's going to be easily done. I think it's
Nope.
going to be a little slow starting in the beginning of the game, feel each other out, see how it goes, and then the action's going to happen. And I think it potentially could be well, I think even what the score of the Bills game was, it like 31-29. I'd say somewhere around that. I'd say the scoring
Okay.
starts happening a little bit, and then they go back and forth toe to toe. But I expect Saquon Barkley to run and get the MVP in this one. And
Yeah.
fly Eagles fly for this time. I hate to root for them.
Oh boy, you
and I'm
said
not
it.
exactly, but I just looking at it on paper, I expect them to win in this one.
Yeah, I could
And,
see.
and
I
I'd
could
rather
see that.
not see the Chiefs, even though again, I before this, I never even had any hard feelings against the Chiefs or anything. I'm not a hater. I know they're your rival team, so again, my rivals and your rivals face off here again, once again in the Super Bowl. Last time when these guys played each other, I was all Chiefs. My son's a Chiefs fan. I was like, all right, well, sure. I don't want to see the Eagles win another one this soon. Another Super Bowl.
We're back
But
again.
the fact that Saquon's on the team even too, he's a good guy, and I have no hard feelings against him. I think he deserves this. And you see the way that this team is gelled together, even when Saquon jumped on board. Jalen Hurts is a different player too on top of it. It seems like they're really together in this one. So,
and it would be Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley's first Super Bowl. So like it would be something special. It would really mean something special to those two, specifically. And I know there's others that obviously the rookies. Just how about that Cooper DeJean?
yeah,
Quinyon
yeah.
Mitchell, first year in the
Mhm.
league, and you win a Super Bowl, it'd be insane. So, yeah, it's going to be something to watch for. Like this is going to be an awesome game. I honestly wouldn't be watching this game if we weren't doing this show. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah, and I
I
know,
wouldn't
me
even
too.
watch
I
the
can
Super
totally
Bowl.
be happy. It's like,
Like,
Joe, let's have a gaming night or something.
yeah, like I'd be out
I'm
on the
good with
Super
that.
Bowl. Don't care. Don't want to watch it. But it is going to be. It should be a great game. It really should be. Hopefully the refs aren't too involved. for the wrong reasons anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody tune in. Going to be at the Superdome in New Orleans.
That's
The
right.
same place where the power went out, so hopefully they don't have any issues there.
Yep.
And I can't wait. I can't wait for the
Yeah.
commercials. The commercials are going to be epic.
Yeah. I don't know. I
Usually
don't
they
care.
turn it
They've
up
been
for
getting worse to me. Like I can't stand the commercials now. I really
there.
don't care.
There's not as many good ones, but there are like 2 or 3 that you can watch and be like, "Oh, that's a pretty good one." Pretty
You know
creative,
what's
but we'll see.
you know what's funny is I think there was a poll that went around about the Super Bowl, this coming one, and 47%, I think, said that they are interested most in the game. 19% was interested in the commercials.
Commercials.
Yeah. And the
Okay.
remaining 7% or whatever like that or
Just not
something.
watching.
Another something it just was like, yeah, there for just the food and
I'm
beer.
just here for
Shit.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah. They're like, whatever, I'm just here. I mean, which I thought was kind of funny too, that only still 47% of the people watching the thing, their main focus is the game.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
I would think that'd be
okay.
bigger. That'd be
right. Right.
But,
And that's
hey.
why, like I said, which kind of shows you the amount of people that watch it that have no stake in the game, that don't care, that don't even really traditionally watch football. But this time of year, it comes around. Hey, what are you doing? Where are you going to be? I mean, and that's the thing.
Before we sign off, real quick,
Sure.
I just want to mention this thing just to kind of stir the pot a little bit more for the NFL. I heard that Dean Blandino's brother, the former head ref in the NFL, now he's doing just, covering the games from here and there, said that he's convinced the league is rigged and that Dean Blandino himself signed an NDA so he couldn't speak on it. Just a little tidbit to make all you conspiracy theorists go crazy.
Go crazy. Yeah. Because that's the way I look at it too. Anything is out there because again, way that you look at verbiage, the way when people are asked questions, Roger Goodell again he doesn't say, hey, we are interested in the integrity of our sport, this and this. He says we are interested in the integrity of our league and entertainment, purposes, things like that. Entertainment. And this is things and denial, which if you look back at old footage of Vince McMahon, a lot of times, hey, this is not, flat out lying and then eventually saying, well, we have athletes and they're performing traditional, real physical moves and physically fighting and this and this for entertainment, and this and this, and then eventually turning more into it. And then you're finding out now that everybody's just accepted that it's all storylines. Not exactly like there's kind of a predetermined ending, but how it gets there is all played out by the refs. They are the puppeteers. And this is why you see this in the NFL, and that's why everybo's pointing fingers together.
And here's the thing, you brought up entertainment. Just so everybody, whoever doesn't know this, the NFL is not categorized as a sports league like NBA, MLB, NHL. The NFL is categorized as a entertainment league. So if they wanted to manipulate games or if they wanted to help out a certain team, they can't be brought to court or tried or anything like that because it's entertainment. It's how they make money. So just let that spin around on spin cycle in your brain.
Right. Because just like the WWE knows, and they've played it out there, and fans of it, that they're out there, you want people love just as much as the hero, the heel. And there you go. We've got the heel in the Super Bowl. And so
we do.
With that, we're signing off. Joe, we kept it within an hour. Holy moly, we did it.
Oh,
all right, so there you go. Our Super Bowl.
We're 5 minutes over.
5 minutes, our preview. There you go. Thank you so much. Enjoy the game. Have a lot of fun. We will be back next week to cover our reactions, see what happens, and also what some of these teams are going to do moving forward. There's some other storylines. Will Travis Kelce be back, or will he be out the door playing for somebody else?
Kelce. Yeah, Travis Kelce said himself, he's like, "Oh, I can play football forever."
Sure,
Okay, bud,
sure.
relax.
I have
But
some
listen,
insight on that, and next week I'm going to drop a team to where I could potentially see him going.
well,
How about that?
thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate all the support that is up to this point. You guys have been truly amazing. We are climbing over on YouTube. If you want to join the nation that is the Blitz Nation, head over to YouTube for us over at Grumblings Media. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up, share it to all your family and friends. It's absolutely free. Why not just click the button? Listen, you don't even have to watch us on it when we're live. You can just have it play in the background, but if you want to get more interactive, if you want to answer questions like William Del Pilar did, tune in every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and drop it in the comments down below during our live. We'll react to it. We'll answer questions, whatever it may be. Jim, it's been another great pleasure with you on
Absolutely.
yet getting through a whole season. And for the first year with Grumblings Media,
That's right.
it's been an
Our
awesome ride.
inaugural year.
And we're
Absolutely.
looking
And
for
there's
we're
more
looking
to
to
it.
continue this relationship. Thank you guys so much. You can also head over to grumblingsmedia.com, the website. If you want to read some great articles, if you want to see podcasts like ours over there as well, sports, entertainment, political, whatever you're into, make sure you go give it a look.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.